What's good, YouTube, and welcome back to a brand new video. Look, man, if y'all new here to the channel, I need y'all to do me a few favors. Number one, like this video. I'll appreciate it. Number two, subscribe to the channel. I'll appreciate it. And number three, make sure y'all turn on that bell, man, so whenever I drop a new video, you will be notified. Once again, I'll appreciate it. Here today, we back with the Love by Urka series. This is the last episode, man. We finally did it. I know it probably took us some time, but guess what? We here and we did it. And that's all that matter is that we did it, man. I want to thank everyone who was here with me from part 1 all the way to now, which is part 11. Thank you so much, man. Because if it wasn't from y'all, I probably wouldn't even be doing all this right now. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. Now, basically, in the beginning of the video, Love by Urka was saying how Mr. Cryer was telling her that someone was driving back and forth past his house in a black BMW. Now, I do remember that because I touched on that before, probably 3 or 4 months ago in one of my other videos where Mr. Cryer was at the Airbnb, I believe, and he had on a white robe and et cetera, and he was basically, telling YouTube, the people on YouTube, how he had to leave his house because someone was stalking him and he felt unsafe and et cetera. I do remember that. And it ain't no coincidence that the same car that was driving back and forth past his house giving off stalker vibes was a black BMW. We all know that Latoya and Mr. Mucker got matching BMWs or something like that. Or I know Mr. Mucker got BMW. I'm not sure about Latoya, but I think Latoya do got a BMW. Either way, that had to be one of them because unless it was just a big coincidence, but who else would be stalking Mr. Cryer in that type of car around that time when all the stuff was going on between all four parties? Love by Urka was also saying how Latoya was telling Mr. Mucker that Urka and Cryer was messing with each other. Without proof at that. She was just saying that. And this is the thing right here, Latoya, you're a snake because Mr. Cryer is supposed to have been your man. At that time, Mr. Cryer was your man. You turning on him to go with Mr. Mucker when you don't even know Mucker. Unless you do know Mucker because y'all was talking before and y'all got to know each other. Maybe y'all went out a few, before all of this even came about, maybe y'all went out a few times to get to know each other on side sneaky dates. Who knows? But it's kind of crazy how Latoya is up here telling someone else something that she don't even know. Supposedly don't even know. That's ridiculous. Urka also said that Mr. Cryer basically saved her life. Because if it wasn't for Mr. Cryer, she probably would have been dead. Now, I don't know exactly what she mean by that, but if I had to assume or give my opinion, I would say that she mean she probably would have slit her wrist when she was pregnant because so much stuff was going on and she just couldn't take it because it was so overwhelming. So Mr. Cryer stepped in and he handled the situation. He handled the situation like a man that loved her would have handled it. So like I always said before, hats off to Mr. Cryer, and I'm happy that he was there full of love by Urka, so she wouldn't do anything crazy. Urka also said how she was crying and depressed. She was doing a lot of that stuff off of camera. She ain't bringing it to YouTube or any other platforms, any other social medias. And she also said that she used to cry a lot in front of Mr. Cryer. She said that she felt kind of bad or she felt like she was getting on Mr. Cryer's nerves. But I doubt that because if someone you love is crying in front of you, you're not going to be like, oh my God, you so annoying. You keep crying. You keep doing this. No, you're going to do what you can do to try to make that person that you love feel better. I know that's what I do personally anyway. If my baby mom is sitting right there and crying in front of me and she heard about something, I'm not going to make her feel like she annoying. I'm going to comfort her and I'm going to try to make her feel better. What about y'all? Because I know that's what I would do. So I wouldn't think anyway. I don't know Mr. Cryer or I don't know Urka personally, but I would think that Mr. Cryer wouldn't have a problem with Urka crying in front of him. He'd just try to fix it like he was always doing. Going through the stuff that she was going through with Mr. Mucker, she said that she didn't want to be home alone, and she also said that Mr. Cryer said he didn't want her home alone. So that's why we started seeing them in more videos together, or we see Love by Urka in a familiar place, which was Mr. Cryer's house. Because they was around each other more and more at that time because Urka needed someone Mr. Mucker wasn't there for. So Mr. Cryer stepped in and he made her feel loved and appreciated and special, et cetera, all that good stuff. I feel like Mr. Cryer basically forced Love by Urka out of depression, if y'all get what I'm saying. And I say that because, you know, she was saying that he was like, oh, go get your nails done, you know, do your eyelashes, maybe your makeup and stuff. Just make yourself feel pretty again, you know, or make yourself look pretty, because you probably feel like you're not pretty. You probably feel like you're not good enough. But go remind everyone who you really is. Go remind everyone who you was before you even met Mr. Mucker. You know, you was a beautiful woman. A beautiful woman on your shit, getting your money, etc., etc. Go back to that Luvd by Urkel. Go do what you was doing to make yourself happy. Forget Mr. Mucker. Do what you need to do to get yourself back to who you was. Maybe that was something that Mr. Cryer said to Urkel to snap her out of the depression that she was going through with the whole situation. Luvd by Urkel also said that Mr. Cryer told her, don't even reply right away. Because I know y'all remember when they first came out, when Creole Bay and Mr. Mucker first came out official that they was dating each other. I know that everyone seen them taking shots at Luvd by Urkel and Mr. Cryer almost in every video. Every chance they got, they took a shot at Cryer or Urkel. And around that time, I know a lot of people was probably like, oh, why Urkel not replying? Why Mr. Cryer not replying? That's because they was waiting for this moment. Like 2 weeks ago from now, when Luvd by Urkel did all them videos, they was waiting for that moment. They let Latoya and Mr. Mucker think that they had the advantage. They made them think that they was really doing something or messing something up, when in reality, they wasn't. Mr. Cryer and Luvd by Urkel was just buying their time. Now, I always had a feeling that they was going to reply anyway, Cryer and Urkel, that they was going to reply anyway. They was just letting Latoya and Mucker have their time to shine, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But I already knew eventually that Luvd by Urkel and Mr. Cryer was going to reply to all the bullshit that Creole Bay and Mr. Mucker was talking about. Urkel said that if she wasn't pregnant, she would have went off on Latoya and Mucker. And that was another thing I've been said a few months ago too. I believe Luvd by Urkel would have made Creole Bay and Mr. Mucker life a living hell. I believe that. I don't know how she probably would have did it, but I believe that she would have made Latoya and Mr. Mucker life a living hell. Maybe she would have contacted, you know, one of Mr. Mucker exes to get some dirt, sent some screenshots or whatever, and sent it to Latoya. Now, I know what y'all probably thinking. Oh, Latoya wouldn't care because that stuff is old before we started dealing with each other. When I say we, I'm talking about Creole Bay and Mr. Mucker. That's how Creole Bay probably would have been thinking and saying things. But who knows? Maybe Mr. Mucker still talking to other females behind Creole Bay back. Because it seemed like he got a reputation of not sticking to one woman. It seemed like he got a reputation of trying to dip, you know, his cookie in other people's baskets, if you know what I mean. But like I said, I don't know how Urkel would have did it, but I believe that she would have got revenge some way, somehow on both of them. Luvd by Urkel was also saying how Mr. Cryer and her couldn't even co-parent because Latoya was jealous or Mucker was jealous. Every time one talked to the other, every time Cryer and Urkel talked about anything, even if it was about their son, Latoya was mad. Or, oh, Mucker was mad. And then Latoya and Mucker like, oh, see, they is dealing with each other. You know, they meant for each other, because I remember Creole Bay and Mr. Mucker saying that in one of their older videos around the time whereas though they first came out that they was official, that they were saying some shit like, oh yeah, they meant for each other, they happy together, we happy that they're happy, etc., etc., etc. But y'all stalking Mr. Cryer, and y'all taking these shots on the internet, just doing stupid shit. So like I always say, if y'all happy how y'all say y'all happy, move the hell on. Stop mentioning these people that y'all so-called can't stand, that y'all hate. Stop mentioning them. And it's ridiculous that they couldn't even co-parent because y'all was too childish, immature, and, you know, jealous. Y'all was too of all of that stuff to even realize that they was only talking about their child. But y'all, like I always say, y'all worried about shit that's not important. And that's the crazy thing about it. Now, I believe that some of us knew this because I think Urkel said this before in one of her videos. But Urkel was also saying how Mr. Cryer was paying 5 shots so she wouldn't go into preterm labor. Because that was something that Mr. Mucker wasn't doing. And Mr. Mucker, he know that that baby is his. He just kept throwing all this Cryer stuff in Urkel's face. Oh, you over Cryer house, you texting Cryer, because he wanted a way out. He wanted to have a reason to leave Luvd by Urkel and to make Urkel look bad. Mr. Mucker knew that that baby was his. I don't care what nobody say. He was doing that shit because he wanted out. He wanted a way to get to LaToya without making it seem like he was the bad person. But it didn't work. Mr. Mucker, you should have been paying for them shots so your child wouldn't be born early. But no, Mr. Cryer doing it. And that's exactly why Mr. Cryer is adopting that baby, and that baby is going to be his. Simple as that. You don't want the baby, so someone else do. This the question that I got for everybody that's watching this video, man. Do y'all think that Mr. Mucker is going to regret all of this stuff that he ever done in Luvd by Erica? Once he have the baby, do y'all think that he's going to be thinking to himself like, damn, man, I fucked up big time? Do y'all think that? I mean, I don't think he is. I'm 50-50 with it. Like, if I had to have an opinion on it, I'm 50-50 with it. Part of me is going to say yeah, because, you know, he going to realize that he could have been so much more being with Luvd by Erica than being with LaToya. And part of me say no, because he don't want the child anyway with Luvd by Erica. So I'm 50-50 with it, man. Let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment sections below. But on that note, I'm going to end this video right here. Let me know what y'all think about this entire situation. Like I said, this is the last video on this series. I had a fun time doing it for y'all. I hope y'all enjoy watching it much as I enjoy making it for y'all. With that being said, y'all have a good day. I'm out. Peace. I'll see y'all in the next one.